this live stream session on studying accounting and finance at DMU. Thank you so much for joining us. So please do leave us a comment to say hi, and we'd love to hear from you. My name's Reshma, and I work in the Faculty of Business and Law, and so I'll be your host for today. I'm joined today by our academic Aaron and one of our students, Daniel. I'll pass it over to Aaron to introduce himself.
Oh, hello everyone. My name's Aaron, as Reshma said. I teach finance. I'm one of the associate professors in the accounting and finance department. And yeah, I've been at DMU for about 10 years. And we're looking forward to this exciting new year with a lot of changes that are going to be taking place.
Thanks, Aaron. I'll now pass it over to Daniel to give a brief introduction of himself as well.
Okay, morning everyone. My name is Daniel, and I've recently just graduated from Montfort University with a first class in accounting and finance for a placement year. I've been lucky enough to have and be involved in a few things in DMU surrounding DMU.
Brilliant, thank you so much.
Everything. It's always bound to happen on the live stream, but I'm here now. Thank you very much, Reshma, for jumping in. As I say, so as Reshma mentioned, we're going to be talking and answering all of your questions today. So please leave us a comment, let us know you're watching, and yeah, let's bring in who we're speaking to today. So first of all, we have Aaron, who is one of our academics at DMU. So let's bring in.
We've just met Aaron and Daniel, Georgia.
Apologies.
It's absolutely fine. You had internet connection problems, so we've just spoken to Aaron and Daniel, and yeah, I'll pass over to you now, Georgia.
Oh, there we go. Right, now I'm up to speed. Again, apologies everybody. Congratulations for staying positive about your future and choosing university. We're living in an extraordinary year that has affected all our lives and plans, and we completely understand that, what a significant year this is for everyone, because it has been for us too. If you're planning to start or continue your higher education journey in 2020, we want you to know that DMU is here for you every step of the way. Your DMU future is our way of connecting safe campus living, quality teaching, one-to-one time with our academics, and a great student experience, all within our diverse, inclusive and welcoming DMU community. We're committed to ensuring you get the extra help that you may need with your life, work and study, because we understand that coming to university is a massive decision, and this has only magnified that, and we do completely understand that. And this is your chance to get those questions answered. So please, if you are watching and you are a little bit worried, ask the questions. We've got, like we introduced, Aaron and Daniel, who are both here to help and are happy to answer any questions. So now we've been carefully planning for the coming year. So I'd like to bring back Aaron, who's going to just talk to us a bit more about what we can expect from teaching and learning on the course. So Aaron, if I can pass over to you.
Yeah, no problem, Georgia. As I mentioned just a moment ago, it is going to be a very different experience from what you may understand as a traditional university environment. All of the lectures that generally were myself, one of my colleagues in a big room, are now going to be pre-recorded. So you can watch them, it's called asynchronously, meaning you can watch them whenever you like, whatever time of the day or location in your flat or so on. And the seminars where we generally get together and talk about and try and evolve and develop some of the concepts we've presented, they will be delivered online as well. So not quite an environment like we are in now, but something similar, but certainly a lot more interactive, where we'll be able to talk one with another. And so we're, myself and my colleagues, we're rapidly over the summer having to redesign and develop all of the materials that we generally deliver. But for me, there are three key things takeaways for yourself in terms of the experience that you'll have in this year to come. And the first one is that you will be able to customize your own learning experience. As I said, you'll be able to decide when to watch the lectures, depending whether you're a morning person or afternoon person. You can timetable all of your lecture activities to one day or spread them over the week. Also, we will be delivering some face-to-face material where if you're on site and you wanted to have that face-to-face situation, you would have the opportunity to have some face-to-face seminars. And so you can really change the time and the date and the mode of the content that we are delivering that meets your learning style and your availability. Okay, so I think that's the first key takeaway from this exciting, different, unusual year that's coming along. Also, I think you'll be able to develop some great employability skills. Even just think about the environment we're in at the moment, where we're communicating remotely. You're in, I don't know what part of the world, and I'm in this part of the world, and yet we're able to have this interface where we can communicate and work together. And when this virus is over, when this pandemic's eased away, we may find that a lot of work environments retain this work at home, remote way of communicating between employees. So over the next year, as you're using this type of technology, it's going to help you rather to develop your skills, which will help you to become employable post-degree when your career begins. And I think maybe the third takeaway that you are going to get from this year to come is that the assessment that you receive is going to be innovative. Previously, it's exams or essays or just these traditional approaches where you're in this very unusual situation where you've got a fixed period of time and you've got to write down as much as you can to demonstrate whether or not you understand or comprehend or did any work. Whereas now the assessments are more online, it does give you the ability to have more time and composure to put together a better response to the requirements that your academic sets for you. And this is closer to a real world situation. When you're in the workforce, you do have the internet and time and all of these resources available to you to come up with a response which your boss requires of you. So instead of this artificial situation of testing your competence or intellect, the assessment that we deliver is going to be, again, more suited to what you'll find in the real world working environment. So I think three key things you can take away from the year to come is your ability to customize your learning experience, the fact that using these electronic and remote interfaces will help your employability, and also that you shouldn't be concerned that the assessment is going to disadvantage you. It's being redesigned so that it meets the needs of how we are communicating, and also there'll be a little bit of employability benefit there as well. Okay. Perfect.
Thank you so much for that, Aaron. And as I say, Aaron is going to be here now for like the next 20 minutes as well. So if you do have any questions for our academic, please pop them in the comments and we will get those answered for you. Now, it's very easy for us to sit here as people that work at DMU and academics at DMU to say what the experience is going to be like. However, that's not from the student perspective. And we feel like it's very important to get the student's point of view. So I'd like to say goodbye to Aaron for the moment. Happens like magic. I love it. And if we can bring back Daniel, that would be perfect. Again, like magic, my hands didn't even move. It was perfect. Right. So Daniel, back in March, which feels so long ago now, we had to quickly adapt to
Yeah.
online teaching and learning. So you were in your final year, which I can't imagine how
Yeah.
stressful that must have been for you. And I just want to like kind of get your experience, and if you can just talk a little bit about how you found online learning at DMU.
Okay. I think, like you said, back in March, seems like quite a long time ago, but it was quite a different experience, you know, not having lecturers in the room to teach you, or not, you know, being able to attend seminars as you normally do, where you can actually easily resolve any issues with your seminar tutors, or if you had any last minute questions, you can just, you know, double check with them some answers or things like that. But I think in the end, DMU were able to actually accommodate my learning as a final year student. You know, there were a couple of things that they did to actually support me in the end. So there were extra revision lectures that were uploaded onto our Blackboard, which is our virtual learning environment we use at DMU. And there were specifically accounting and finance seminar questions that have been worked on. So depending on the modules that you took, the questions that have been worked on and were uploaded onto Blackboard as well. So you can actually go back and review those questions, which was sometimes similar to the practical and actual questions that you would see in an exam as well. And there was also frequently asked questions as well. So there was a document, because loads of students who have similar questions is quite expected. So there were frequently asked questions as well. So you could just go onto the DMU page, the Blackboard page, and see, you know, if your questions came up. There was also a student chat room as well. So if you had any extra detail that you needed to clarify with your lecturers, you can actually post that question online. And I felt that was quite a good idea, because you see your lecturers respond back to you within, you know, the next 72 hours. So it was quite a good response time. And I think all of this put together really did help me and gave me the support I needed to end up, you know, with a first in the end.
I mean, you've touched on it slightly, but I would like to go into a bit more detail because it was your final year. So how did you get that support that you when with your studies? So you've mentioned a little bit about Blackboard. Were you still able to like get in touch with academics? How did that all work?
Yeah, so you can always still get in touch with academics. So I've mentioned, you know, having the chat function on Blackboard, our virtual learning environment. You could contact them through that way, or you could send emails as well. But I think the essence of using the chat function on Blackboard was that if there was any, you know, if the lecturers would get quite the same, you know, questions via email, it will be easier to run and check those questions on Blackboard rather than having to send the same emails to lecturers over and over again. So I think that was one of the uses for the chat box, and how it provided a lot of support. And also some lecturers actually had their own Calendly. So they had their own specific times where you can actually contact them and, you know, you can book a time, you know, just to be able to contact them and you know, get your questions across that way as well. That's like another function of support as well. So those are the main things I was like.
Yeah, and I think you transitioned beautifully into my next question, which was how were you still able to contact academics? So obviously at DMU on campus, our academics have an open door policy. Obviously, with everything that is currently happening, that wasn't able to be the case. Did you still feel like if you needed to contact one of your accounting and finance lecturers, did you still feel like you were able to do that? And was that through Calendly?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
I think it's called Calendly. But even I think leading up to the last week of actual, you know, in lecture experiences that we had, you know, some of the comments that we were getting from our lecturers, that in case you do need anything, we know this is going to be completely different to what you've been used to. In case you need anything, any support, any advice, please feel free to contact us or email us. So that, you know, that constant reminder was there, and it essentially just made you feel at ease and made you feel more calm of, you know, what was a stressful situation.
Yeah, that's great, and it's great to see that you still got the support. So in regards to how teaching and like learning has changed, what's been the biggest changes for you that you felt as a final year?
I think for me, the teaching change in terms of, you know, moving online. So in my situation, I was about 2 to 3 weeks from having my, you know, full module lectures completed, but that had to be changed, and we had to move the revision lectures online. So I had to, adapt my learning that way. But as Aaron mentioned earlier, you can actually decide when you want to watch that lecture. So even if you're not a morning person, you can decide, okay, maybe I'll watch it later in the day. So it was customized in that regard. As it relates to assessments, so my assessment actually changed from having to write in-person exams to having open book exam, which was something completely different as well. I had new target dates, new submission deadlines as well, but yeah, so in order to fit, and I think those assessments were changed, and it took quite a long time to agree upon those assessments, but I think DMU was able to liaise with the professional accounting bodies that actually set those exams so you were not disadvantaged. So that's how my teaching and learning and assessment were adapted. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And then finally, and I know this is like a big thing that will be on people's minds, new students, were you still able to collaborate with other students, and how did you do that?
Yeah, so like leading up to when everything was like completely shut down, there was still some specific times that you can actually go to the library. I remember I was able to meet up with one of my friends on the same course as well when we went to the law library just next to the Kimberlin Library, and we had like socially distanced arrangements there. We were able to meet up there just before everything had to shut down. But in terms of communication and collaborating, yeah, we're quite used to every form of social media, so that was quite easy, to be honest. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for sharing your experience. Before we say goodbye to Daniel, I know he's not going to say it. Daniel was graduated in this crazy time. So from someone that has seen you over the past year, congratulations on graduating. You should be really proud of yourself, and everyone at DMU is so proud of you as well.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
So let's do a little bit of a Q&A. So if I can bring Aaron back. Hi, Aaron. Good to have you back. We've got some questions that have come in from different people, and I just think it was going to be worth going through them. And then if anyone has any questions, just pop them, like I say, pop them in the comments, and we'll get those answered as well. So the first question.
Could I just mention something, Georgia, just to pick up on what Daniel said? Daniel mentioned that the assessments we had to change very last minute, and that we had the involvement of the professional bodies, whether it's the ACCA or CIMA. And I think it's just important to note that anyone who is considering doing a degree in accounting and finance needs to realize that the degree is just the start of their career. They do need to become aligned with a professional body. And if anyone has any queries with regards to the impact of the changes we're making on their ability to belong to these professional bodies, everything is being run past the body. So the exemptions, for example, to the professional body exams you got in the past, you will still continue to get now. So that was just the point I wanted to make.
No, I think that's like a really important point, especially with the courses that we offer at DMU. So let's now jump into the Q&A. So the first question that I've got is, will I have one-to-one contact with academics? So Aaron, if I can pass this on to you, that would be great.
Definitely one-to-one, not necessarily face-to-face. Obviously, there's a difference. There's a difference there. Daniel was talking about we used to have things called surgery hours, where we would just be in our office, the doors open, and you come in and would kind of work through any questions with the syllabus or whatever that you may have. Now, those will still be operating, but there'll just be an online version where Daniel also mentioned Blackboard. Well, within Blackboard, there's a collaborate part to the site where we can set up meeting times online. And again, we can have one-to-one online face-to-face where just you and I are able to talk about specific questions that you have, because I suppose sometimes in a big group, you don't always like to pop your hand up and show what you don't understand to everybody else, even though we do try and create an environment in which you feel comfortable doing that. But definitely, you will have the ability to have one-to-one contact.
Perfect. I think the next question is a very important question. I think it's a question that a lot of students are wanting, and it's, what will my course look like if they start with us in September/October?
Okay. So far, what we have in place for term 1, meaning up until Christmas, is that all lectures will be pre-recorded. So each week, for each module that you are a part of, there will be lectures that you'll need to view. What we are going to do as well, instead of, normally lectures are at 50 minutes, but what we're going to do is break them down to maybe 10, 15-minute sort of bite-sized segments. So you will have the ability to watch the video. You'll have seminar material that you can work on and kind of go back to the video and then work on the questions and backwards and forwards. And then the following week, you will have an online seminar with an academic where you will be sort of reviewing the questions, the material, and then maybe getting some extension work to push it on a bit. So you have these recorded lectures, and then like a week later, there'll be an online seminar which matches. And so that will be happening for each of your modules. And and one more thing there, and I think each week there'll be a different module that will be allocated the opportunity to have a face-to-face in the same room seminar. So for example, one week, a certain module, if you wanted to, you're able to go into the university and sit in a seminar room with an academic and some of your fellow students.
Perfect. It is worth saying as well that all sort of face-to-face lecturers will be adhering to social distancing rules. So it'll potentially be that you're in a larger seminar room, and that's just so that we can spread everyone out and make sure that everyone feels safe and comfortable, because really and truly that is the most important thing. So the next question, obviously Daniel has been on a placement. He and I know it's very important to a lot of students that are looking to come to DMU. Aaron, will students still be able to go on placements?
I'm not an expert on placements, but my understanding is that there's likely to be a limitation on the number of placements available. Okay, so the DMU has a very, very good placement office. So you go through the website, you can contact them directly, and they'll be able to give you the expert opinion. But with the world in a kind of difficult place, and there's no way of knowing when things are going to turn back to whatever normal was. But placements are still available, but you just need to maybe check with the placement office with regards to their availability. But if you're beginning with us, if you're a first-year student in September, October, well, I would hope by the end of your second year, normality has resumed. But the office certainly hasn't shut down, and that they are coming up with innovative ways in which they can help you have this valuable placement experience, even within this corona environment.
You're going to hear us constantly singing the praises of our placement team. They are amazing. What we'll do is we will put the link to the placements team in the comments. So if people want to contact them, find out a little bit more information, they can visit there. The next question I have for you, and again, Daniel's touched on it perfectly a little bit earlier, is what sort of support will I have as a student?
Okay, we at De Montfort University, we try and cater and make ourselves inclusive for all types of students, or with all types of learning styles. So wherever you're from, whoever you are, we have lots and lots of resources in place, aside from just the technology that we're going to be using to communicate upon. We have student welfare officers. We have a student advice center, which is amazing. They have the answers to kind of every question, whether, I don't know, your flat is flooded, and what do I do about this? How do I get an extension? or maybe there are particular things that you have challenges with. Maybe you're dyslexic or have dyspraxia. Well, we have another element within the department who can help you receive the additional resources that you need to help with these particular challenges that you may have. We need to make sure as academics that all of our materials are available well in advance of when the teaching needs to take place, so you've got as much time to do whatever preparation is needed to. But whatever challenges you have, I can almost guarantee that we've got some facility in place just to help you with it. We're in a difficult situation with this corona, which is having sort of unimaginable impacts across the world. But as academics and students, we're kind of working together, I think, to ensure that your life and your education can continue, so that kind of 3 or 4 years from now, depending on whether you have a placement, you're not disadvantaged. You're not set back in terms of your future career.
Perfect. We've got a question from Ruby. Hi, Ruby. Thank you for watching. Now, Ruby wants to know how many hours of face-to-face teaching would we roughly receive weekly?
The maximum number of modules that you'll have is 8. Okay, it could be as low as 6. It depends. Some modules are kind of double weighted, but generally what you would be looking for is somewhere between 6, 7 or 8 hours per week of pre-recorded lectures. Okay, and then the same number of hours of online seminars. Okay, so mid-teens, something like that, certainly less than 20, but kind of more than 10. Now, what you also need to realize is that for every hour of either lecture or seminar time, we are assuming that you're doing 2 hours work yourself, whether you're reviewing the lecture examples, looking at the e-book, the e-textbook, and trying questions of your own. So in terms of using technology to interact live or otherwise with us, probably in the mid-teens, but probably double that. Certainly when the syllabus starts picking up and assessments are due, you're going to be looking at maybe twice that of your own time.
Perfect. Thanks so much. I hope that answers your question, Ruby. And if you do need a little bit more information, just pop us another comment and we'll help you out. The next question that I'd like to ask you, Aaron, is, and again, Daniel has touched on it briefly, is how will the assessment be different, and if so, how?
That's a really good question. What Daniel experienced was us as academics having to take the assessments we had already prepared and moderated and got ready to deliver to them, and then have to quickly turn it into an online version of it. Okay, and so Daniel and all of his fellow students, they were kind of very, very patient with us as we worked with the professional bodies. The assessment will be, as I mentioned before, different from the traditional exam room, lined up with desks and so on. Even though some of the social restrictions may have been lifted by the end of the academic year, we need to start preparing assessments so far in advance that I can't see the situation where exams are back. And so yes, we are likely to continue with online pieces of assessment. For example, one of my third year modules, we previously had a piece of assessment which was done in a lecture room. We've got 45 minutes, and then here's the paper, get on and do it. What we have now instead is an online version which is similar in some ways but not in others. And basically, as soon as you click on the link, the timer starts. But the difference is you're at home and it's an open book assessment. You can have another window open with whatever internet sources there are, or get your text in your notes. And so what it means is that because we are delivering these assessments in a different way, We need to change the nature of the content. And so what it means is that you're not simply just regurgitating things that you've heard us say. We have the ability, and you have the ability, of demonstrating what you understand. So you'll still be, for me, you'll still be using one of these calculators, you'll still be tapping buttons, but the way in which you return your work to me will be certainly online.
Thank you, Aaron. I think because we have gone over our 30 minutes, which is completely fine. I think a good last question to ask, and I'll also bring Daniel back for this last question as well, is I'll go to Daniel first, and it's, what advice would you give a student that is joining us in next year in September?
I think one advice that I would give is just to remain calm and just know that, you know, the university is doing all that they can to make sure that you still have that enriching experience and that you're not disadvantaged at any level at all. And I think one thing is just to take your time with everything that you do. Still try as much as you can to engage with students that might be, you know, via social media, you know, setting up WhatsApp group and things like that. But essentially just to remain calm and just take your time with everything. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Daniel. And same question to Aaron from an academic perspective. Any advice for students joining us this term?
Yeah, I think my final piece of advice would just be for everybody to embrace these changes that are here. This this pandemic has wreaked havoc across the world, with the number of people is affected, the deaths and the pain and the suffering that it's caused to people, but it doesn't have to impact your future. You will still, as Daniel suggested, you'll still have an engaging environment where you can learn. Your career doesn't have to suffer and be a year or two or three before. Wherever you are in the world, there's some likelihood that Corona will impact you or not. So that isn't going to change if you move forward with your studies. So kind of embrace all of these changes, kind of see it as a challenge, and then work with us, the academics, to ensure that you have a constructive and rewarding learning experience.
Perfect. I think that's a really great place to end on. So what we're going to do, and that's all we have time for today, so we will put a link to the Your DMU Future landing page. Please keep going back in that and checking there. That's where the most up-to-date information is on anything that you need to know in regards to joining us in September. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you both to Aaron and Daniel for being my guests today. As I say, we'll put the link to Your DMU Future. And also, just before we say bye, we would love for you to join our exciting community event, which is happening today for our offer holders, and that is DMU's Big Night In. I've heard a little bit about it. Sounds very, very exciting. So if that is applying to you, please go to our website, find out more and book your place. But other than that, enjoy the rest of your day, and we hope to see you at DMU soon. Thank you very much. Bye.